Welcome back to a special edition of Green on the Greens. You thought you got rid of us, not quite yet. We are back to discuss this week's big President's Cup. Oh, I'm excited to get into it. Joined once again by Cody Williams. First things first, though, we do have some business to take care of. I officially took the L in our closest to the win segment throughout the season. Who did I have in the tour championship? I think it was Adam Scott. He didn't come through for me. I had a chance to tie, so I did lose, Cody. So I do need to let you know, go play a round of golf. Send me the receipt, and I will Venmo you the round. Round on me, courtesy of closest to the win.
Sounds good. I'm just glad we got through with closest to the win for the first season before you went on your little hot streak of late.
Yes, I will say, because thank you for bringing that up, so I didn't have to bring it up myself. Back-to-back outright winners in golf. I got Shane Lowry at, what was that event? The BMW PGA Championship. And then Max Homa, I hit him at the Fortinet Championship. Back-to-back 14-1 winners. So I am a little hot in golf, which might lead to a little international team win. So we're talking President's Cup. If you don't know what President's Cup is, it is the event that happens on alternating years with the Ryder Cup. Everyone knows the Ryder Cup is Team USA against Team Europe. President's Cup, not quite as competitive as the Ryder Cup has been. I think Team USA is 11-1-1, and it's against Team International. So every country outside of Europe is eligible for the Team International. Most notably, my fellow Canadians play on Team International. Two of them, Corey Connors and Taylor Pendrith, will be representing Canada. So it's no Ryder Cup. It might not be as exciting. It's a lot more lopsided, but means a little bit more to me. I'd love to see international team win. The odds. Let's get right into it right away. We are going to give out prop bets later in the show, but we might as well talk about who's going to win the whole thing. It is completely lopsided. Team USA is a minus 750 favorite. Team International plus 750, Team USA minus 700, and a draw plus 2,000, which has happened once before in the President's Cup. I think it was 2002.
2002, 2003. I can't remember which one.
Yes, somewhere in that range. There was a draw. It did happen once. I wouldn't recommend betting draw at that number, but it is possible. So Team International, they were always underdogs. They weren't as big of underdogs, but they lost everyone. They lost all their best guys who gave them a shot. Cam Smith, who would have been their best player, gone. Joaquin Neiman, gone. Abraham Answer, gone. Who else? Was Mark Leishman would have been on the team? Gone. So they're a hurting unit right now. Cody, let's just start off, because you're obviously on Team USA. I am going to make the case for Team International. I will back my fellow countrymen, but tell me why I'm wrong. I actually had Jeff Feinberg on Daily Bet Slip yesterday, and he is a fellow Canadian. I was hoping I could get him to budge, but he said, he said Team International is not even worth a sprinkle.
Oh, God. I mean, they might be worth a sprinkle, but there's just a lot working against Team International right now. Since the President's Cups started in 1998, the U.S. has not won by fewer than 3 points on U.S. soil. And we're playing at Quail Hollow in North Carolina. So we're on U.S. soil. So yes. You add the hit, and then you said 11-1-1 for the Americans in the history of this event. So, history is not working on the international team's side. And then on top of that, the talent discrepancy is just ridiculous. Like you said, all the best players that were going to be on Team International are gone. They're in Live Golf, so they're not playing in the President's Cup. The highest ranked player on the international team is Hideki Matsuyama, and he's at 17, which is sandwiched right between Max Homa and Cameron Young at 16 and 18. And they are the 10th and 11th highest ranked players on Team USA. So the talent discrepancy is huge. And then on top of that, if we want to go even further, over the last 20 rounds for the players in this field, 6 of the top 9 players in strokes gained tee to green, which is always a key at Quail Hollow, are Americans. So only 3 of the top 9 are in Team International. I will say, do not bet a minus 700. Just don't do it. That's like betting 101. Do not bet a 700. But there are going to be other ways that you can bet on the Americans, and profit off of it. But minus 700 is not one of those ways. But with everything that this event has told us in the past, and then you throw in, Team International, not just losing the top players that were going to be on the team, but losing them in relatively short order. Like this year, they've lost them from the team. So there wasn't really a whole lot of time for Trevor Immelman, who is the captain, to regroup. So you throw all that together, I just don't see a way the Americans don't come out on top.
Yeah, you're probably right. I am going to make the case for Team International here in a second, but as you mentioned, there are other ways to bet on it. We have prop bets we're going to give out later for like leading scores and things like that. But also, the best way to bet on these events, in my opinion, are the actual matchups that happen on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now, the issue with that is, as of this show, they haven't released what the opening day matchups are, so we don't have picks for that. But I'm sure that both of us will give those out as we go along. But yeah, if you think Team USA is going to win, if there's no chance for Team International, in your opinion, don't lay minus 700 unless you have thousands of dollars to do it. But before I make my case for Team International, let's talk Quail Hollow, because site of what, the 2017 PGA Championship, it's usually the site of the Wells Fargo as well. To be honest, I don't love the course. I think it's kind of a boring course. You got to be good off the tee. You got to be long off the tee. So before we even dig into prop bets, I want your thoughts on the course. But right away, and if you look at like the Team USA points leader, it makes sense. Kevin Kisner, fade him. That's a little right off the top of the show. Every matchup, fade Kevin Kisner. Yes, he has a fantastic match play history, but the match play event that happens every year is at a course that fits his style to perfection. I don't know if there's a course that fits his style less than Quail Hollow.
I will say with Kisner, it depends. If they pair him with someone like Cameron Young, for like 4-ball or alternate shot or something like that, that could be really, really interesting because of Kisner's lack of length, that could be factored in the odds. So you might get a good number on that, but just keep your eye on the pairings. Like you said, we'll tweet that out, our picks day by day. That is one thing I really enjoy about the President's Cup in comparison to the Ryder Cup, is that they do like the live matchups. Like, Team USA will say, we're sending out, Schauffele and Cantlay, and then Trevor Immelman will respond with who he wants to match that up with.
Why doesn't the Ryder Cup do that? That's a way better format.
I agree. I don't know why the Ryder Cup has not adopted that. Probably because it's older and has more tradition built into it. If we're being honest, because it's golf, and that tends to be the reason for a lot of things. But as to Quail Hollow, yeah, you're right. It's not a very interesting course. One thing I do think is interesting that they're doing for the President's Cup is the most difficult stretch at Quail Hollow, the Green Mile, is normally 16, 17, 18 when they play it for the Wells Fargo. For the President's Cup, they're moving it so it actually they're trying to ensure that it plays a factor in these matches. So that stretch is going to be 13, 14, and 15 for the President's Cup.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they've changed the layout of the course a little bit. So that's going to be interesting to watch. Honestly, I think it might actually improve it that we're, getting that stretch of 3 holes in the middle of the course. But like you said, it's really not an interesting course. I actually like the Wells Fargo at TPC Potomac more than I did more than I normally do at Wells Fargo. But yeah, like you said, or like I said earlier, strokes gained off the tee is always going to, or strokes gained tee to green is always going to be key, because the rough isn't particularly penal, and Davis Love III is setting it up to not be particularly penal. I read somewhere that it's at 1 3/4 inches, I think, and it's Bermuda rough, and for 1 3/4 inches, that's really not. That's not much of a factor. So, you want ball strikers who can hit it far. And that's pretty much what you're looking at. And I mean, putting's always important, but these are the best players on Team International and Team USA. I'm not particularly worried about putting.
Yeah, distance off the tee is certainly going to help some guys. So that's going to lead to one of my prop bets later on. But I locked in my bet today. I'm going Team International. I will take them at the plus 750 number. It's going to be hard for me to come up with a lot of reasons. You look at official world golf rankings, they're way low. And to be honest, I brought up to Jeff Feinberg on Daily Bet Slip yesterday about the last President's Cup, because if people forget, Team International should have probably won that. They're up 10-8 heading into the final round. But Jeff brought up a good point, and you brought this up earlier. That took place all the way over in Australia. So Team USA was at a little bit of a disadvantage, all those time zones, all the travel. And listen, I don't like citing motivation. I don't like citing, trying to play armchair psychologist here. But that's the only route I have, because I can't use that to back up this pick. So hopefully Team USA is just completely looking over Team International. But hey, this is golf. Things happen. These are 18-round matches, and even though I know the guys on Team International aren't, as high ranking as the guys on Team USA, these are still some of the best golfers in the world. There are still some very, very talented guys for sure. They're definitely not as deep. They're definitely not even as top heavy. But still, these guys can beat each other on any given day, and they are 18-hole matches. Crazier things have happened in sports. So I'm willing to be the one guy that will go down with a ship on Team International. I will say I actually wouldn't be completely shocked, though, that this is over before Sunday even happens, which would be crazy. Which I think wasn't it 2 President's Cups ago that almost happened?
Something like that, yeah. It was a runaway. It was absolutely. All I'm asking for is for the Sunday singles to matter. Right. That's all I want. Like even though I'm picking Team USA, like I'm not betting on it. I just want drama on Sunday because the Sunday singles, when there's actual stakes, is the best part of this event by far.
For sure. And I will say 4-ball, and this was tweeted out by Justin Ray, who's always our stats guy for golf. He tweets out great stuff. President's Cup point differential by format since 2007. 4-ball were even. 35.5 to 35.5. So I don't know why Team International just crushes 4-ball. Now foursomes were down 30 points, and singles that were actually only down 2 points. So USA just crushes us in some foursomes.
Yeah, and actually, I have another Justin Ray stat that I was going to give to you to help your case, Ian.
Let me hear.
Because I am a generous person, if nothing else. Of the top 6 players in strokes gained ball striking, which is off the tee and approach, from July 1st to the Tour Championship, 4 of them are international players.
Boom. Plus 750. Our boy Tom Kim is on the team. Show Green on the Green's darling, Tom Kim.
Oh, we'll be talking about Tom Kim here in a little bit. Don't you worry about it.
I love it. I would love to sit here and try to, make a really good case with a bunch of stats and numbers, but I just don't have them. I think USA might just be overthinking. Like, I think they just think they're going to run away with it. And sometimes in sports, that's going to get you. Maybe. I don't know. Do you think they have a chance? What do you think? Set a percentage for me.
Less than 10, for sure. Less than 10%, I would say. I would put it about, I'm going to say 4.1%.
Okay, so then you actually think USA has value at minus 750 because plus 750, the implied probability of those odds is 11.76%.
Well, I mean, I understand that. I'm still not betting a minus 700 number.
I know. Honestly, who is? Nobody is.
Honestly, in my honest opinion, I think the U.S. should be favored more. Like minus 700, right. like you said, I actually think it's quote unquote good value. It's just no way I'm touching it.
Yeah, right. All right, we'll see. So let's get into some things we can bet. I mean, I literally locked in my bet today plus 750. I mean, it wasn't the biggest bet of my life, but I put a little bit of money on it. So I might be the only guy on Twitter that if Team International pulls it off, I'll be pulling such a victory lap on every American that follows me. I can't wait. I'll be running in the streets of New York with the Canadian flag. Maybe I need to get a Team International logo. I'll be running through the streets. People will just look at me like I'm crazy because probably nobody else is going to be watching it, but I'll do it.
You're getting muted on Twitter if Team International wins. I'm telling you right now.
I'll be the most obnoxious guy on Twitter for sure. But let's get into some prop bets here. I believe we have 3 each. I actually haven't seen yours. I sent mine in and haven't looked, so I'm going in blind. I don't know what picks you have. So go ahead, hit me with your first prop bet for the President's Cup.
So we are kind of aligned on this one, except I went a little more aggressively. I have Justin Thomas as the top combined point scorer, so the top overall point scorer in this event. First things first, he won the PGA Championship at Quail Hollow, so he has good history here. But he also has great history in the Team USA, team format. He tied for this as a top overall point scorer in the 2019 President's Cup with 3.5 points. And in his President's Cup history, he has a 6-2-2 record. And then you combine that with the Ryder Cup, and he is 12-4-3 when playing for Team USA. So the dude just loves this format, which makes sense if you look at his personality. Like, he's a fiery guy, and he just gets fired up for these events. But when you look at the way things are going to shape up for the President's Cup, I also really like his ability to, just put up a lot of points. He's one of the veteran leaders of this team. The one I would say negative about Team USA is it is a young team for the most part. And so Thomas is coming in as one of the veteran leaders. So I could see him playing 5 times, which you don't see a whole lot with a deep team like Team USA, but I could see that. And then you look at the foursomes and the 4-balls, he's almost surely going to be paired with Jordan Spieth because they always do that. But that team is quite formidable. Like those two just thrive in this Team USA format, especially when playing together. And then you go back, if I'm going to the narrative that the Americans win, then I would obviously pick an American as the top point scorer, and I think Justin Thomas is the best candidate to do that. So at plus 1,000, I really like that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, probably the top point scorer is probably going to be an American. So if you want more value, getting top combined point score probably makes a little bit more sense. I did just go Justin Thomas, top Team USA point scorer. And I think for these prop bets, something that you need to consider and remember is that you got to play a lot in order to be the top point scorer. So even if you look down at some lower names and think there might be value, don't forget, like, these guys, some of the guys near the bottom of the list probably aren't going to be even playing in enough rounds to qualify to be the top point scorer. Like if you want to go down to like Max Homa, as much as I love Max Homa, he's probably not going to play enough rounds to get top point scorer. Same with guys like Billy Horschel or even Cameron Young.
Yeah.
So I think you have to stick to one of like the top 3 guys. Justin Thomas obviously fits that bill. I mean, he fits in the top 4. It's going to be Scheffler, Cantlay, Schauffele, and Thomas, especially JT because he's going to take on that leadership role with Team USA. I think he plays at least 4 of the 5 rounds. Mm-hmm. So that's why I like Justin Thomas in that spot. What about your next prop bet?
My next prop bet, I actually went to the international team, and this is where I said I was going to talk about Tom Kim. And this kind of goes against what you're saying since he is a rookie, but I have him as the top international point scorer. At plus 650. And there's 2 things that stand out. One is calling back to 2 things I've already mentioned. Of those top 6 in ball striking from July 1st to the Tour Championship, Tom Kim is in that top 6. He's been just ball striking the crap out of it, which we saw with his run at the end of the PGA Tour season. But then the other thing is, of the top 9 in strokes gained tee to green, which I said the Americans had 6 of, Tom Kim is 4th among that top 9 in strokes gained tee to green over the last 20 rounds. So he's just striking the ball extremely well. The 2 things that are working against him, I would say, are the fact that he's not terribly long off the tee, but what I like about that is he's incredible with his long iron. So even if he has a long approach shot, he is, I would say, even with how young and how new and fresh he is, I would say he's already up there with the best long iron players on the tour. He's unbelievable with his long iron. So I don't see that hurting him as much as it would someone like Kisner. And the other thing is that he might not play a lot. But what I think is going to happen is I read a report that he is serving as the translator for the South Korean players, so Siwoo Kim and Sung Jae Im. And the read on that a lot of people are getting is that he's going to play with Sung Jae Im because of that reason.
Oh, look at you diving deep into some reports from Quail Hollow. I like that.
Well, and that's why I think Tom Kim's odds are as short as they are. He's one of like the shorter odds among the top international point scorers, and I think that's because the odds makers are also projecting that he's going to be playing a lot. And when you throw in the fact that he can also get really hot with the putter, which is deadly in match play format, as we know, like, I think that he has a real outside shot to be the top international point scorer. So I'm at plus 650. I'm willing to, take a little sprinkle on that.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, and also I think if the international team wants any kind of chance whatsoever, they got to get creative, not just go with just the basic, more known names like the Hideki Matsuyamas every single time. They got to get with the guys who have been playing well lately, guys who have been hot, and probably no other golfer has been as hot recently heading into the President's Cup than Tom Kim. So be a little weapon for them.
Yeah, and I mean the other player who I would say has been just as hot is Sung Jae. Like, people slept on Sung Jae at the end of the PGA Tour season and through the playoffs, and he was white hot. So if those 2 are paired together, that could be an actual formidable pair to go up against the Americans. So I really like this a lot.
My pick, complete bias aside here, my pick for top international point scorer, Corey Connors, fellow Canadian, plus 700. In terms of how often he's going to play, do you think there's anything, and I'm just reading into this and I have nothing to back this up, I don't have any neat tidbits like you got, but Quail Hollow, it's obviously taking place in the United States. If there's any teams or if there's any fans from the international team there, they got to be Canadians, right? Do you think they're going to play the Canadians a little bit more to kind of get the crowd into it? Assuming that the international fans there are going to be from Canada.
So I don't necessarily think that's the reason. But I think the fact that you have a comfortable Canadian format with him and Pendrith,
Yes.
I think that works in their favor to play a lot. And then on top of that, I think you also are looking, Connor's like this is just a young President's Cup. I said young Team USA. It's just a young President's Cup in general.
Yeah.
And Connors
All
is
the old
another one of
guys
the veteran
left for
guys. What'd you say?
All the old guys left for live, so there's only young guys.
Exactly. But Connors is one of the veterans on this team, so I think that also factors into it too. So I looked at Connors as well because I think a ball striker's golf course that suits Corey Connors to a T. So I do think he's probably. I mean, like you said, the international team has to be aggressive, and so I think you're going to see Connors, and I think you're going to see Hideki, and I think you're going to see Sungjae play 5 times. I really do. So you're going to get opportunities.
Yeah, that was the other reason why I went with Connors. Obviously, this course fits his style of play. He's great off the tee. He's not like the longest guy ever, but he has some distance off the tee. He's a very good off the tee player. He's a ball striker. He's a guy who can score, and they're going to need guys who can score if you want to beat this Team USA team. So Corey Connors, top international point score, 7-1. What's your final prop bet?
So I got a little weird with my final prop bet, but I'm going with the day one foursomes correct score. USA 3.5 to 1.5 at plus 550.
I kind of like it. Well, I don't like it because then that means international is going to be screwed already. But that's a sneaky little prop bet.
Yeah, so there's actually some reasoning behind this. I didn't just arbitrarily choose this. But the last time the President's Cup on American soil in 2017, this was the score after day one foursomes. And so I like that. 3 bodes well for me there. But I also look at what we're likely going to see in the day one foursomes, and I think the U.S. already is going into it with a 2-0 lead because I don't care who the international team matches them up against. Schauffele and Cantlay are going to play together, and that's a win. And then Spieth and Thomas are going to play together, and that's a win. So that gives me 2 outs to hit 3.5 to 1.5 as the day one score, which would be either the U.S. wins one, loses one, and halves one, or they have all 3 of them. So I have 2 outs to get to this score that we saw, and I think that's very likely given the matchups we're probably going to see. So I really like this at plus 550. I think there's actual value in that. And so that's why I'm going with this.
Do you have the odds for this prop bet in front of you? Like, what's the favorite for the result after day one? Is it this?
No, 3-2, I believe, is the favorite. I think, and it's like plus 250. It's not good odds on that.
What about Team International clean sweep day one? Give me those odds.
Give me 1 second. That was off the top of my head. I'll have to look this up.
All right. I'll give out my prop bet. We'll come back to this. My prop bet, sticking to a completely unbiased pick here. I'm going to go top wildcard point scorer, Taylor Pendrith. 18-1, baby. Completely unbiased. 2 of my 3 prop bets are Canadians, unbiased. Hand up, unbiased. You made a point, though. He might get to play a lot because he's paired up with Corey Connors, a little Canadian pairing there. And I have some Justin Ray stats here for you. You ready? Players to rank in the top 10 on PGA Tour in 2021-2022 season in both driving distance and greens and regulation. Number 1, Jon Rahm. Obviously not playing because he's in Europe. Number 2, Taylor Pendrith. I said the international team needs to get a little creative, and I think Taylor Pendrith, his style of play fits this course better than anyone else. And that stat that you just brought up earlier, among the players competing this week, 4 of the top 6 in strokes gained ball striking per round from July 1st through the Tour Championship. He said 4 of the top 6 are on the international side. It's Pendrith that ranks on top, 4th on the PGA Tour in ball striking, strokes gained ball striking per round. So Taylor Pendrith, kind of like Tom Kim, a guy who got hot in the second half of the season. He missed a couple months there because of an injury, came back. He didn't get a win, but very good ball striker, very long off the tee, which is going to help at Quail Hollow. Team International, and I hope they do it, needs to get creative. They want any hope. And I think one of those ways they can do it is by playing Tom Kim a lot. I think another way they do that is playing Taylor Pendrith alongside Corey Connors. I think that's a nice little 1-2 punch. So, by the way, if you don't know top wildcard points score, those are the players who are captain's picks. So if you automatically qualified, it's not you. I don't have the list in front of me, but the top point score of all the wildcard picks. So he might not even need to play all that often because most likely all the wildcard picks are probably going to only play 3 rounds probably.
No, I like the odds on that a lot because Pendrith is a perfect fit for this golf course, especially with the way he's been playing. Like the one thing that would worry me is his approach play has kind of fallen off. Like last week, his approach play was not good, and
Yes.
so that worries me a little bit. But if you think about him being paired with Connors and getting Connors' approach shot in there, then you don't have to worry about that.
Right.
So therefore, I really like his ability to bomb it off the tee. I have the odds now for day one foursome scores.
All right. Let's hear it.
International 3-2 is plus 500, so actually worse odds than 3.5 to 1.5.
That's surprising.
International 4.5 to 0.5 is plus 8,000 if you want to go with a route for the international team on day one.
What about a clean sweep?
5-0 is 100 to 1.
Lock it in. 100 to 1. Let's go.
And then a tie is plus 550, same odds as my third prop bet. I'm obviously more.
What sportsbook is this?
FanDuel.
Okay. I didn't see that when I was looking at the props. That I didn't look. I looked early this morning, so it must be up just recently. I'm betting that. Just full disclosure, I'm betting that. 5-0 international, 100 to 1. I'm putting $5 on it to win 500.
Everyone who did bet the minus 700 number is going to be sweating after that happens.
Hey, that actually brings up a good point. If you don't want to bet USA and lay minus 700, if the international team gets off to a decent start even after day one, just wait. Like you may as well just wait to see if you get better odds on it because it is possible. I know USA hitting into Sunday last year, plus money. I think they're like plus 110 heading into Sunday. So not last year, last time the President's Cup happened, 2019. So better to do that, I think, than delay the 700.
Absolutely. I have not seen odds for this, but if you can find like margin of victory, not like exact margin of victory bets, but like margin of victory bets in terms of like, 3 points or more or something like that, I think that's a really smart way to bet USA if you're going to do that. Like, get a little aggressive if you think they're really going to route them and go, 4 points or more or something like that. But I think that's the way I'm going to be betting this if I can find those odds.
I like it. Yeah, that's a good tip as well. Like a little spread bet kind of for the final score. There you have it. I will quickly say the next President's Cup, which will now be in 2024, taking place in Montreal. Royal Montreal Golf Club in my home country of Canada. I will be there. I guarantee it. So President's Cup, let's win this year, and then let's defend our title in 2024. And I will be there betting on it, watching it, doing whatever I can do. Any final thoughts about the President's Cup?
Nah, I'm just excited for it. I mean, this team format golf, like in this setting, is just the best. Like I don't care if USA is favored by $1 billion. It's still a ton of fun. Like it's a ton of fun to see the different formats, to see, the strategy that these captains, throw out there. And, from our perspective, a ton of fun to bet on, daily.
Yeah, for sure. I'm very excited. I just want to just give me close. Just let it be close.
Right.
Let Team International have a chance on Sunday.
Honestly, that's all I want to. Like I said, I want Sunday singles to matter. That's all I want.
I will feel stupid about my plus 750 bet when USA locks it in Saturday night. Like, what do they do if that happens? Do they still play on Sunday, or that's it?
Honestly, if they do that, like say US has I don't even know how, I'm not a math major, so I can't really say this, but say it is like actually insurmountable, I would just go USA for the team sweep if they play those Sunday singles. Like they're just going to sweep every single match.
Well, apparently what happened last time, and I think maybe was it? Yeah, I think it was 2017. Apparently or it doesn't matter. It was one of the President's Cup. They almost locked it in on Saturday. They only needed 1 or 2 wins on Sunday. So apparently they all celebrated as if they won Saturday night and got super drunk. And the next day they were so hungover they almost blew it. I heard that on the No Laying Up podcast. So I don't know what year that is. Just looking at it, I'm guessing it was Muirfield Village in 2013 because they only ended up winning by 3. So maybe you should bet Team International if Team USA almost wins it on Saturday.
Maybe not. We'll monitor the alcohol situation on Saturday night and see.
Yes. We need someone to get to Quail Hollow and give us an inside scoop on alcohol consumption Saturday night. All right. That is our special edition of Green on the Greens for the President's Cup. We will be gone for a while now. I don't think we're coming back. I think the next one is going to be the Waste Management Phoenix Open, the same weekend as the Super Bowl, and that is when we will start a new season of Green on the Greens, a new season of Closest to the Win. I do need to pay for a round of golf for you, so please get out. I know there is still golf where you live. It's not too late in the year. Get a round in. Send me a picture of the receipt. I'll send you the money.
Sounds good. I'll get on that promptly.
All right, sounds good. And then next year I'll win, and then you got to pay a round for me. I'll get you back next year. All right. Thank you all for watching. Like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. Good luck with your bets at the President's Cup this week, and go International, go!
USA! USA!
See you later.